That's nuts.
You probably use tons of expressions, idioms, and slang phrases every day that don't make literal sense. Sometimes you can figure out the origins of these phrases. However, some expressions are so crazy and unusual that it's impossible to guess where on earth they originated from. Let's explore some common idioms and phrases and take a look at the meanings behind them. Stick around to the end to find out the meaning behind the phrase, bite the bullet. You'll be amazed. Red tape. We use the term red tape to denote anything that may delay or hold us up. It also refers to a lot of unnecessary bureaucracy or paperwork. This term originated from the fact that legal and official documents used to be tied up or bound with red tape since the 16th century. By doing so, it was often difficult to access them, hence the term red tape. Loophole. As an idiom, loophole is defined as a way of getting out of something, especially finding a legal technicality that allows someone to evade compliance. In the Middle Ages, a loophole was a small slit-like opening in a castle wall that men would fire their bows through. The only openings in a seemingly impenetrable wall were these tiny slits. Thus, a loophole is a small opening or out in a seemingly airtight law, which only the clever few can use. Break the ice. This term is usually used to describe the first person to initiate an action. Back when road transportation was not developed, ships were the primary means of trade. At times, the ships would get stuck during the winter because of ice formation. When this would happen, they would send a small ship to go out and break the ice in order to clear the way. Break a leg. How many times have you heard someone shout out, break a leg, to someone going on stage? This is a phrase that seems to be counterintuitive. Certainly, you don't want someone to actually break their leg on stage. This phrase was first recorded in print in the early 1900s and traces back to early German aviators, possibly during World War I. Popular folklore at the time was full of warnings against wishing your friends good luck. Wishing good luck was to tempt evil spirits and demons to do your friends harm, so it became customary to wish your friends bad fortune. This phrase gradually migrated from German aviators to the German stage and then eventually became a common phrase in theater. Butter someone up. Buttering someone up usually means to impress them with flattery. This was a customary religious act in ancient India. The devout would throw butter balls at the statues of their gods to seek favor and forgiveness. Mad as a hatter. If you say that someone is as mad as a hatter, you usually mean that they are completely crazy. You might think that you already know this one, but it didn't originate from Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland. The origins date from the 17th and 18th centuries, long before the book was published. In 7th century France, poisoning often occurred among hat makers or hatters who used mercury to help make hat felt. This mercury poisoning led to Mad Hatter disease and was marked by shyness, irritability, and tremors that would make the person appear to be mad. It's raining cats and dogs. When someone says it's raining cats and dogs, what they really mean is that it's raining extremely hard. This phrase originated in England in the 1500s when the houses had thatched roofs. A thatched roof consisted of straw piled high with no wood underneath. In cold and foggy England, this was sometimes the only place for an animal to get warm. Cats and other small animals like mice, bugs, and the occasional dog would wind up on the roofs. When it rained really hard, some of the animals would slip off the roof and wash up in the gutters on the street. Hence the saying, it's raining cats and dogs. Cat got your tongue? We usually use this phrase to describe a person who is at a loss for words. We can thank the English Navy and the Egyptians for this one. The English Navy used to use a whip called a cat of nine tails. This whip was often used to flog sailors when they got in trouble. The pain was so severe that it caused the victim to stay quiet for a long time. Another possible source of this phrase could come from ancient Egypt, where liars and blasphemers' tongues were cut out and fed to the cats. Graveyard shift, dead ringer, and saved by the bell. Ever heard someone refer to working the graveyard shift or say that someone is a dead ringer? What about Saved by the Bell? This creepy trifecta all share a very grim origin. For this too, we have to look back to good old England. If you look at a map, you'll see that England is rather small. Therefore, they started running out of places to bury people. What they did in order to solve this problem was to dig up the existing coffins out of the ground, take the bones out to a bone house so they could reuse the grave and casket. Sounds like a simple enough solution. However, this practice turned up a very eerie and creepy finding. An average of about 1 in 25 coffins that was being dug up to be reused was found with horrific scratch marks on the inside. They realized that somehow people were being buried alive. This obviously was an unsettling find. In order to avoid this happening in the future, they started placing a string on the wrist of the corpse before it went into the coffin. The string would then be let out of the coffin, up through the ground, and then tied to a bell. This way, if the person was buried alive, they could ring the bell or be a dead ringer. This way, they could have a chance of being dug up if they were found to be still alive. This became known as being saved by the bell. In order to make sure that they had somebody listening for the bells at all times, someone had to sit out all night working the graveyard shift. Bite the bullet. You're probably familiar with the term bite the bullet. Typically, it means to accept something difficult or unpleasant. In the olden days, when doctors were short in anesthesia or time during a battle, they would ask the patient to bite down on a bullet to distract them from the pain. Do you have any other nutty ideas for us to research? If you do, let us know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our other nutty videos. Thanks for watching.